for the royal families of the earth. It goes back to the book of Daniel, which means the judgment of El. The elder's judgment is rendered in the book of Daniel by giving you a struggle program. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they said they stuck them in the furnace, and the furnace was turned all the way up, and they weren't even scorched. They was able to withstand the fire. The symbolic nature or meaning of that was the furnace was the condition, and the fire was the surroundings. Harsh environment is the way you refine character, but they use in metallurgy to tell you that their character was being tested and that they were being put to the fire in order to determine who and what they was. And they found out when they came out, what? These are the protected ones from somebody, right? And now Nebuchadnezzar loses his mind and loses his kingdom. But what happened? When Daniel decided to finally read the writing on the wall, Nebuchadnezzar slapped out of the slumber, realized he's in the jungle among the beasts. Hey, I don't supposed to be here. Symbolic of waking your brother up from the slumber by reading the writing on the wall. In ancient Kemet, we call it hieroglyphics. In New York, we call it graffiti. And if you know the land, you can read the graffiti and you can know what tribe is operating under the modern banner of gang. Them tribes.
Wow.
Right? There's no such thing as a gang. A gang is a tribe. It's even in the definition and etymology of the word gang. They tell you it's a tribe or family unit or family group that don't go along with the status quo. Therefore, they don't fit into the system. Right? And then now the gang realized that the tribe, they reconstitute. We was at war. We got murdered, slaughtered. But we ain't died. We multiplied. We baby kids up in here. Who is baby? That's Big Mama. You don't believe me? Go to New Orleans and ask them where baby stay. They're going to be like, which baby? You mean Baby Johnson? Or you talking about Baby Milton over there? That's somebody Big Mama. And Big Mama kids don't never die. We always multiply because we have to answer the oppression with producing children that's offspring born at inception to solve certain social issues in the general public. If you look at the way that we moved in the 50s and 60s, it's not how we moved in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Because we were so heavily saturated with infiltrators, we didn't know what the hell was going on in the 50s and 60s. We know that it was a civil rights bill passed in the 60s, and we thinking that it's for some black people, and it's say indigenous civil rights right on the bill, or Indian civil rights. But it's for us. But we supposed to be from Africa. Right? And then when Martin started to tell it, they got to silence him. Malcolm tried to tell it, so, you know, he had to go draw the infiltrators out. If they in here like you say they in here, make them come out and show themselves. If I go this way, they're going to come out and kill me. Prove it. Right? Chickens coming home to roost. Detroit Red Rooster. Right? Running a red herring to get the wicked ones away from the babies. If he right, they got to destroy it all and start all over and get rid of the infiltrators. At least isolate them and control them. Right. So they destroyed it. Wharfdeen Muhammad. Farrakhan rebuilt it.
Rod,
cultural phenomenon.
Rod, you talked about manifestation about 5 minutes ago. We started going in on manifestation. Before I ask you this, because I got a question.
That didn't exist.
That's how far ahead of his time he was, bro. That's how far ahead of his time he was.
The only thing that he can compare the experience to let people of his day understand what he was trying to tell them is by calling them a Radiohead.
Radiohead, damn.
When we was just going over the epigenetics aspect of downloading the information and all of the membranes feeding the auric field the information for the brain to take it in through the nerve network or the mycelium network of the human body and transfer it to the human brain for processing, refinement, and delivery into the focus that you, because you're looking at it, you the observer. So between your collaboration with the ether or the spirit of the great mother is how you focus the collapsing of the wave into the particles that manifest as your 3D life. Right? And onlookers contributing the observer effect by non-participation. Because the more observers with there's non-participants, then the more they follow your observation. Right. You give your observation as a synopsis in order for them to know if they want to give it attention or not, in order to bring about the inevitable changes that need to be made. Right. So the secret societies know by promoting the worst parts of society, it'll compel the people that's being done the worst, that has the strongest capability to say enough is enough, frustrated enough if they can withstand the chapter of misery, that when they do say enough is enough, everybody know they ain't playing. And then because they're gonna start having the ear of all sides.
Right.
All sides want the truth more than they want the narrative. And when you giving them the truth and you not trying to control the narrative, you telling them, you go look over there and you see for yourself. But don't take sides with me and nobody else. That way you can keep your observations under your control. Meaning you can collapse your wave into the particle of the 3D life that you choose. All right. And all of your energy focus, that communication is always taking place. And that's how we driven in these human meat suits as radio heads driving across the terrain in our avatars.
Indeed. Indeed. What a way to end the show. Indeed. What a way to end the show. Listen, I want to thank everybody. We gotta listen, family. We got a global audience. We got 3,000 people right now, right? We got people earlier who said they were from Ghana. We got people from all over the world that tune into this platform, that we will be surprised of who watches this show. So shout out to everybody all over the world, all colors, who watch this show, and come to my world, Brother Rich world, and see what, you know, and get my perspective and the guest perspective. And it's a beautiful thing that, you know, y'all could appreciate us being ourselves. Rod do what he do, I do what I do, and we're able to all learn from each other. I always have a magnificent chat. Y'all sharing magnificent stories and comments in the chat. So it's just all around a magnificent experience. And Rod, I want to thank you once again, my brother. Keep doing your thing. I'm gonna call you soon. Me and Rod's gonna do this Patreon within the next week. So I'll call you within the next couple of days to set up the Patreon. With that being said, Rod, we getting out of here, my brother. Signing out. I'll talk to you soon, my brother.
All right. Peace, Brother Rich.
Peace, peace. Peace, family. See you next time.
A lot of people.
All right. You good, Griffin?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you, Sir. Thank you for
You're welcome, brother.
having me up. Appreciate it, Rod. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate you, brother.
Keon, if you want to ask a question, you got to turn on the camera. All right, let's go to our brother, Dr. Reggie. You on the call, brother.
Okay, great. Hey, Rod Hayes, we've spoken a few times.
Yeah, I know you is, brother. I know you is.
All right. I'm not. I can only ask a question or two. So, the reason why Billy Carson got in trouble is because he was repeating things over and over and over again, particularly things like Christ wasn't crucified, right? And he got in trouble with a source, right? And listen, thanks for coming on this channel so we can vet exactly what you say. And I'm sure Sonetta has a bunch of questions so we could get specific. And we don't want one of those people like Huff coming on and ruining you, right? Or any of us, right? So we're gonna have to be a little bit more specific, and we're gonna have to mention some sources at some point. So my question is, you made a statement that the Egyptians, that what we call the Egyptians, those are the people of Africa in this particular Nile Valley area, which they call Tawi, right? The two lands. You made a correlation between those groups of people and the Sumer people, who we don't know a whole lot. We only know it through Babylonian and Akkadian sources. So my question, because I don't want to disturb anything, I want Sanetta to ask us questions, right? Hopefully he has good questions. But you have to tell me, right, since you brought in ancient Egypt, right, you're going to have to tell me that the ancient Egyptians or those people identify themselves with gods or with sacred animals, right? And is that similar at all to the paradigm that, out of Africa? Because in my research, they thought differently. They didn't talk about sky gods. They talked about natural elements in Africa, sacred animals or venerated animals in nature, things that they could see, hear, and feel, right? And it has no correlation, and there's no recorded evidence that they ever met the Sumerians or the people that followed until a much later period. So their thinking was already developed. So my question is, you're going to have to can you spend a few minutes and tell us what you believe the ancient people of Africa believed, and show me that it's the same that the people out of Africa that what they believed, and to make a correlation. So I'll stop and I'll listen. I won't interfere. I just want you to talk to me about Africa, which is the birthplace of humanity, right? So we have more than 100,000 years of what we call pre-civilization in Africa. And then we have these other groups of people out of Africa in their thoughts. So tell me what you know about what the people of Africa in the Nile Valley that we call ancient Egypt believed. And I'll mute my mic and I'll turn off my screen and listen.
Well, first of all, the Egyptians' beliefs evolved over a long period of time, right? America's only 200 years old. When we look at the evolution of the ideologies in America, then we should understand the evolution of the ideologies that took place in Kim. The sacred animals is the totem system, right? Then you have the ones who was from the royal families, which was your hierarchy. But they have pre-dynastic civilizations that they don't talk about that go back even further, right? So I didn't make a correlation. Sanetta asked me a question about the relation between the Egyptians and the Sumerians. And I told him I believe that based on what Tahuti say in the Emerald Tablets, or what Thoth say in the Emerald Tablets, that they went over there and set up an observatory to keep an eye on the laboratory experiments and different things that was going on in Sumer that evolved into Babylon and Akkadian and all of that stuff. So they got different beliefs. Even in Africa, from tribe to tribe, you got different belief systems. You got different tribal structures and setups of how the rulership is passed and how the wealth is passed. But you have a common undertone in Africa called the Holy Drama. We knew it as the Assyrian resurrection story. This story is told by the Dogon and by several different Bantu tribes that's not in Kemet, that's in Western and Southwestern Africa, right? So the belief systems vary around the world throughout history, and what they perceiving is how they telling their story. Everybody not telling the same story. They telling the story that they see. 10 people can be at a murder scene and they all gonna tell the same story. The only thing they gonna agree on is the murder.
All right, all right. Let me move on to the next brother. First, let me ask you, can you explain more about the connection between the Anna, Isis, and the Immaculate Conception story?
Right. That's the story of Heru and Kemet.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And this is also what they call the Inanna story in what we call the Middle East. Right. But the Anunnaki story is kind of different from the Egyptian story. They're not the same. But the Egyptian story is the go-to for the Immaculate Conception because it's one of the most comprehensive descriptions of how she was able to produce Heru from the seed of Osiris when he was no longer physically present. Right. And there's also other Immaculate Conception stories is written by, I think my man name was Kersey Graves, 16 Crucified Saviors.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it's not an original story, but the most comprehensive that goes into it. And it's also part of the holy drama.
Okay. Let me get Dizzelli, let's get it, man. Let's go. And I got in the building next.
Hey, Saw, and greetings to Rod Hayes. Firstly, I want to say, Saw, I'm definitely going to need a show to give the House of Consciousness a treat on this topic.
Let's do it.
I want to do it in how it relates to us in a conventional manner, things that are happening now. This is going to be quite a scary show. We can probably call it like a darn horror show. But yeah, I'm definitely going to want to link up with you so that I can get that out to the people so they can start worrying about whether Jesus wore briefs or boxers. But the question that I want to ask the brother Rod Hayes, and I said greetings to him, I want to ask him, with the information that you're bringing forth concerning the Anunnaki, have you ever considered how it affects the history of, let's say, humanity as far as religion goes? So if we're following you and you are bringing information that a group of beings, came to this planet in the in ancient times, have you ever put it together that these beings are probably responsible for many things that many people follow? We used to wonder why people had to make sacrifices to God or whomever, sacrifices of food. And you would be wondering, what does God want with food? What does God want a roasted calf for? That's just something to think about. But Mr. Rod Hayes, have you ever considered these things is my question. And can you elaborate on them just a little bit for us? Thank you.
I absolutely considered these things because the only way you will know is you have to find what's called the fingerprints of the author. That means that most of the stuff we believe, we really believe in it because somebody told it to us. We ain't believing it because we know it. That's like 90% of what we believe. The stuff we know, only thing we know is what we've experienced in real time in our particular life, and everything else is secondhand information. That's why I don't do debates, because I'm going to be arguing, no matter whose source I use, I'm going to be arguing secondhand information, right? So I can give resources, I can give sources of information, but I rely more on my experience than I do on my learning, because I know that most of the stuff that's been fed to us has been fed to us to control us. And go back to whether it's the Sumerian tablets or the writings in the hieroglyphics in Kemet or the Bible, the Quran, all of this stuff is control measures, right? You got to remember, we looking at right now a current Earth population of roughly 8.4 billion people, right? And the number is fluctuating based on interference by governments to reduce populations by chemical controls, which comes from, it's about making them consumer to poison winds and stuff of this nature. So a lot of what we believe today can be traced back to all of the ancient groups, but we only get pieces of it because the people that was writing, you gotta remember, in the year 1800, it was probably a couple thousand literate people on the planet. But here we is in 2024 with thousands of literate people, millions of literate people now, and we all relying on what the little handful of people wrote back then. Even if you go back to the hieroglyphs, only certain priests knew how to, was trained in the proper writing of the hieroglyphs on the walls. It's the same in Sumer. Only certain priests was the ones responsible to record the record. So how do you know what they recorded? They didn't record everything, just like our historians don't record everything. Nobody can record everything unless we have a continuous three-dimensional panoramic film running while we living. Otherwise, it's stuff that happened in your life you don't even remember until somebody say, you remember that time? And then you're like, oh yeah, I remember. But all of that affects belief systems and how we perceive the world. And all of those documents that the information is being traced back, because we're trying to find the source that we get the most information from. And once we trace it back to a central source, then we'll know who told it to us, right? And sometimes we don't come back to a source. We come back to, this book is attributed to this author, and we don't even know if the author lived. Just like your biblical Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. All of those at the beginning and the introduction, they tell you this book is attributed to. That means they don't know if they wrote it or not, but this is who they're going to get a credit to.
All right. Mandinka Mali, you are on the call.
All right. Peace and blessings, man, for old times.
Go ahead, brother.
Peace to the panel. Let me get straight to the question then. Good Lord.
Brother.
Right, now,
yeah, go in.
I don't know what to do. You know, I don't know. Anyway, peace and blessings to the panel, man. Shout out to my cousin. Hey, Rod Hayes. That's one of my cousins from. Hey, he's from Jackson, Mississippi. So he know where his people come from. You know, this is why I understand why he don't get the Africa connection. That's for another time in another place. Our people come from Mali, Mandinka. So you trying to do some more other stuff I heard you talking about. But that's for another time and another day, sir. You know, me and Cuz are gonna have to have a one-on-one consultation about this. Which one of the Hayes is telling the truth? You hear me? That's gonna be the battle. Because hey, I'm fighting for my people's ancestry, you know, and their history on the plantation. He talking about they already here. No, I traced them back coming over here on ships, slave dockets, what tribe, everything. So me last time you said, cousin, we both from the same, our people both from the same plantation in Jackson, Mississippi. So you're messing up the family history, but we're gonna talk about that later. Now, hey, cousin.
You gotta remember, my history come on two sides of the family now. My mama from Macomb, Mississippi.
Okay, we're gonna talk about it. But anyway, hold up. I got my war chief peeking around. Peace out to 904 in the building, sign on the TV. Now, cousin, about 3-4 years ago, you know, I came on here with this type of information. I was talking about the Pyramid Wars, Sumerian tablets, Emerald tablets. They laughed me off the goddamn stage. Jabari and Sarnetta. Laughed me off the stage. See, I was ahead of my time. They wasn't ready for this type of deep information. I'm glad one of my family members bringing it out. You know what I'm saying? So can you go into like, see, really the Sumerian and Egyptian history is connected, ladies and gentlemen. This Giza plateau was where the pyramid wars took place. See the pyramid. That's a space. That's a space. Okay, man. Goddamn. All right, because I'm bringing it out, man.
One teacher tonight. Active question.
Okay, well, I'm just giving my cousins flowers, man. But you know, as far as Aboriginal stuff, and I say our people came here. That's where the road stopped. Which one of the Hazes is telling the truth? Well, anyway,
it could be possible we both telling the truth.
It could be. Hey, family. So, do you believe that the Anunnaki came down and you know, they would here fight. They would here mining gold, right, for Anu, and then they got tired of doing the work, so gene splice these Homo erectus, and here you have your Homo sapiens. That is the history. But go ahead.
That's the Sumerian story of the creation of Lulu Amalu, the primitive workers of the earth, right?
Hey.
But I still believe we was already here. I still believe we was already here, because even if you use that as like a ground zero of their breeding program, Lulu Amalu. Lulu Amalu.
Okay.
And they just call them the Lulus for short.
Yeah.
But
let me Sana, can I share my screen to help?
No, because we're just asking questions. I said that to everybody, Mandinka. There's only one teacher here tonight, brother. I want to just ask questions.
Okay. This is gonna help with his field.
You can do your own show. Cool. All right. So let me go on.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Let me move on.
Well, Lisa, Lisa's
let me ask Rod Hayes a question. The Kemetic stories.
So he didn't answer he didn't answer my question.
Go ahead.
He didn't answer the question.
All right.
You state the question again, brother.
So you know, doing my studies of some of this information, me and Raphael, a couple of other brothers that deal with this type of information. Like I say, during the Anunnaki, they were sent down by Anu. You know, Anu's the top guy. He's the top creator. Then he sent them down to mine for gold, because they want to take gold back to their atmosphere, because their atmosphere is messed up and the gold helps replenish their atmosphere. This is why they came here, right? So Anu sent all the other guys down, because Anu the top guy, sent all these guys down here to mine for gold. They got tired of doing that, so they spliced their DNA into Homo erectus, and that's how you get the Homo sapiens. This is what they used to teach. They also
actually it's Homo sapiens sapiens, which is a different genetic stock than Homo sapien. But yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So in the evolutionary story, they got what they call the missing links. The missing links are unexplained jumps in the evolutionary process based on the fossil record. Now, first of all, we know they fabricated a lot of fossils and they got caught. We know that.
Then Lucy, yeah.
Right. So we don't take everything they say about fossil finds to be the 100%, but the missing link is more than just the fossil finds. Right. It is the generic explanation of why did the Neanderthal become Homo erectus? What happened? What made him stand upright? Right. And what made Homo erectus become Homo sapien? Right. These is that they call the missing links. What made the Homo sapien become Cro-Magnon, then Homo sapien sapien? So the explanation that's commonly given is that this betrays the infiltration into the gene pool by foreign genetic manipulation of an outside source. Right. So there is a lot of discussion about those missing links still because they can't put it together until this Anunnaki doctrine came out. When the Anunnaki literature hit, then what got Zechariah and Eric Von Daniken's attention was, this is a clear explanation of the missing links. The sudden jumps in the process of evolution, right? Because they know that the genome only transforms under slow, gradual change or a sudden change that's normally triggered by a radioactive exposure of UV rays.
Hey, hold up, cuz don't you gotta give them baby food over here. Some of these guys, hey, when I brought it out 5 years ago, they wasn't ready for it. They laughed me off the goddamn on stage. You see what I'm saying? But that's okay, son. My cousin here to straighten it out. The only disagreement I got with is we're gonna have a battle of the hazes. Who telling the real plantation story?
All right. Let me ask you the question, brother Rod.
Go ahead. About the women.
Damn, what I was gonna ask again.
Ask about the women.
Are the comedic stories real, or would you say this is all just a myth? And can we live in these stories? Can we live out? Can they do good for us in this day and time? The stories of the ancient Kemetic people.
It depends on it's depend on anything you use. It depends on how you use it, what you can get from it. Right. If you want to get something from the teachings of Kemet, a good place to start is Muwatta Ashby of this. He out in Florida, and he's the Egyptian yoga teacher, but he's also an Egyptian historian.
I know who he is.
Right. So that's a good start. Like, for instance, how do you apply what they was teaching in ancient times to your modern day life? That's not an easy task. And sometimes we need help because we don't really understand a lot of the stories that they telling, because they paint these pictures with totem animals, but we thinking that they talking about people instead of energy. They talking about the energy of the totem, right? Some of them are composites, like Tawaret got the alligator spine, the hippopotamus body, the woman's mammary gland, human hands, and the hippopotamus head, but she's carrying the cleaver, right? That's a whole bunch of information packed in one picture, right? So the stories is as real as your mind make them, because your mind is what determines what's real and what's not. It's like Dr. Delbert Blair once said, nothing is truth until you decide what truth is. You have to decide for yourself what your truth is. And then you have to live your life according to that truth. And sometimes it might require you to study something that you wouldn't normally study. Like, I didn't know why am I studying forensic profiling? I didn't know why I was studying that, but it makes perfect sense in retrospect, because now when a person is doing stuff, I'm watching the character and it's fitting out a character, somebody else is involved. Right? That's from studying forensic profiling. It becomes so obvious that it's like a green thumb on a red hand. You can see it, it sticks out. But if you don't study that type of information, you won't ever use that type of information in your critical analysis of what you're dealing with.
Okay. What role did Thor play in the Anunnaki conflicts? And
you say Thor?
Yes. What role did Thor play in the Anunnaki conflicts, and how does he relate to characters in other mythological stories?
So, first of all, Thor is a Greek story. It's a European story. It's not a Sumerian story. Right.
But they the Nephilims. They Nephilims. Right. So Hercules, Samson, Goliath. Hercules is a Greek mythology, and it's sometimes associated with
Viking story.
Well, I'm saying, Elder, though, those are the Nephilims. That's part of the answer, son. They were Nephilims.
Right. All right.
Thor,
so let me.
You're right with Thor.
Right. So let me ask you